makeable field goal from 45 yards out yesterday in the final minute against the Broncos to make the final score 73-20 and break the all-time single-game scoring record of 72 set in 1966 by Washington against the Giants. Mike McDaniel opted to take a knee, keep the final score at 70-20, still the most points scored since 1966. McDaniel also pulled most of his starters, including Tua and Tyreek, early in the fourth quarter, making this defeat all the more humiliating for new Broncos coach Sean Payton, who fell to 0-3. Yet Payton's Broncos were up against what's becoming the most explosive offense in NFL history in Miami's home opener. Richard Sherman, are the Dolphins this good or are the Broncos this bad?
I mean, it's probably a little of both. The Dolphins are tremendous. And they were doing this without Jalen Waddle. They went out there and executed with a back that nobody had heard of before today. I mean, nobody was expecting him to go off for 200 yards and off in the receiving game like he did for 4 touchdowns. But the Denver Broncos last year, when they had Ejiro Evero as defensive coordinator, excuse me, were, I mean, a top 5 defense in the National Football League consistently. Every game they were in, they were right in there. They were within a touchdown, except for the Rams game, I think, that got away from them. They lost by 37, 51-14. But other than that game, it was a tight game each and every week. And we would talk about how Russell Wilson was struggling. This year, you're looking at Russell Wilson play some pretty good football. I mean, some decent football. He's using his legs. He's been pretty accurate with football. Isn't turning it over a ton. He's playing efficient. And then you look on the defense, and they're giving up 70 points. And you're like, it's just switching roles every year. Last year, they couldn't get points. You know, Sean Payton was showing the Denver, the Bronco driving off the cliff. And you're like, okay, now it's looking more indicative of how your season's going, because last year, Nathaniel Hackett started the season off 2-1. Yep. You're starting off 0-3. And it looks like, I mean, I can only see 3 or 4 wins on the schedule.
Mm. You know, it's interesting. You bring up Nathaniel Hackett, and that's the first place most people go back to, because we talked about doing such a poor job coaching that season, and then you give up 70. You know what I mean? And here again, like this right here. These plays, you see people, and it's Tyreek Hill. Early in the game, Tyreek Hill running wide open. Now, I don't know. You come right out of all practice, and you know this, Sherm. Somebody had that number 10 jersey on, and everybody said, focus on him, focus on him. I don't know how the first 3 plays in the game, we've lost him already. And he goes across the field. Already. Crazy. I mean, this is your whole, just your whole focus. Yeah. So all of that have to get addressed. I say this shows me so much about Miami here. I want you to understand this. We talked about it. We laughed. Kikied and kakad about all the judo stuff that Tua was doing. But to this point, thank God it's working. Yeah. We haven't had any issues with him falling, and they've been protecting him greatly.
And he gets rid of the football.
Right, and he gets rid of that football. And now he gets a second season in this system where he knows it. And you can tell he's way more comfortable in this system now than he was last year. You can see that. I'm saying when I see him, I said to myself, you're watching the MVP of the league right now. He is definitely MVP of the league right now. And I don't see how anybody can stop him. Let me tell you why I say this now. We've been worried about the explosive passing game. This explosive running game now it's a whole new world. Now San Francisco gives you that physical running game. I'm not saying Miami has that, but they have an explosive running game. Any one of those guys hit the back door, you can sit down on the porch, they are gone. You know what I mean? They're so, all of them are so fast. This is not just the best team in the AFC East, not just the best team in the AFC. This is the best team in the National Football League right now, the Miami Dolphins. And they're still getting better when Jalen Ramsey get back.
Yeah. Richard, you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, the creativity of Mike McDaniels is on display in an amazing way. You're talking about even from the motions, the late motions, the creative run game. He's getting to the same plays that he and Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay and Kevin O'Connell, they all like, the outside zone, the inside zone, the mid zone. And he's doing it with players with extreme speed, a lot of speed, because that's what he needs to make it work. That's what worked in San Francisco. He was the one, he and Kyle Shanahan, obviously, when we played that game against the Green Bay Packers and Raheem went for 220 and 4 tugs, he was the one that was in there drawing up these plays and drawing up the creative ways to create these gaps. If they just looked outmanned. They looked outmanned. The Denver Broncos looked outmanned. They didn't have answers in a run game. They didn't have answers in a pass game. It takes talent to make a corner as good as Patrick Surtain is look that bad and look that average. He's one of the best corners, if not the best corner in the National Football League. And he looked very mundane. He looked very average because of what the coverages they're playing. Now, the coverage with Tyreek running scot-free was coverage 6. They're running quarters to one side. Both the safety and the corner converge on the first post. The other side, they're running cover 2. He just crosses the safety's face and keeps going. Easy touchdown. Easiest touchdown he'll probably have all year because they're not adjusting. They're not saying, hey, when he runs this post, safety taking, corner, you climb. That's how a lot of people cover this in cover 4. But they're not coaching it well. But when Ejiro Evero was there with the same personnel, they were containing. These two teams played. The score did not look like this. And so you start to wonder if Vance Joseph is going to have a job next week because there's no excuse for it to look this way. 70 points in an NFL game with the amount of talent. Like if you said the Arizona Cardinals or Carolina Panthers, you say, hey, maybe they don't have the talent to compete with these guys. Maybe they don't have the guys. They don't have the guns. They don't have the pass rush to compete on this level. But they got the guys, and they're just not putting it together.
And you know, it's funny he says that. You know, that wasn't Sean's first choice at defensive coordinator. You know, his first choice was in Miami at defensive coordinator. And you know what I'm saying? So,
you're right.
Yeah.
Look, you both make very strong points. I'm going to disqualify myself. I'm a Sean Payton fan, but I cannot defend what happened yesterday, especially yesterday, because this was all-time embarrassing for a franchise that has achieved at such a high level in Denver for so long to give up what should have been the all-time single-game record if they kicked the field goal at the end. And I did love what Mike McDaniel said. It's about karma, and karma will come back and get you. So I'm going to respect karma, and I'm going to take a knee. Good for him.
I like Mike.
I do too. I mean, he's growing on me.
He's a funny dude, but I like him.
He's a weird little dude, but
I like him too.
I'm with you. But here's the point. Even though Justin Simmons could not go at safety, and he's one of the best in the business, that Turner yell, it just looks so poorly coached. He just loses that guy on the first big throw of the game. That guy, he's simply the most dangerous deep threat in the history of pro football, and you lose him on the first throw of the game. First big throw, and Tua's like, well, I'll take some of that. So he has taken Tua, has Mike McDaniel, a soft armor, a balloon thrower to me, and he's getting rid of the ball, so he's staying healthy. I'm knocking on wood for him because we know he can be a little fragile, a little brittle when he takes a couple shots. He had reportedly 5 surgeries while he was still in college at Alabama, and Mike McDaniel's like he stepped out of Harry Potter. He's like a wizard. He is working magic on Tua because I didn't think Tua had this in him, but he is putting him in the perfect place to succeed at the highest level he can succeed at with his skill set. Right. And then to your point, Achane came out of nowhere for me yesterday. I look up, and at the end of the game, he's got 203 yards rushing because he can fly. Mostert can fly. To your point, I am seeing beyond the greatest show on turf back in 2000 range with obviously, you know, all the St. Louis Rams. And yet the Rams didn't have this kind of speed. Right. Although Marshall Faulk could fly.
No, they had some speed before
I know.
And they were go to now.
I know.
But not like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You absolutely right. Not like that.
I mean, Jalen Waddle didn't even play.
He didn't even play.
Right.
He didn't even play. What?
And you talk about the top 5 fastest 6, I think it is, that are measured this year by the NFL Next Gen Stats and all the trackers and all that. All 6 of them play for the Miami Dolphins. It's Tyreek twice, I think. It's Raheem Mostert once, and it's Achane a couple times now because he's on the book now. So if you play against that kind of speed, but Raheem Mostert was on my podcast last week. Just happened to be, he got a little boost this week. That's my guy. But he said they take so much pride in protecting Tua. They don't want Tua to get touched at all. They take immense pride every single